So now, after being able to speak all those languages, I came up with a formula of learning languages. I have these 5 pillars that I have in language learning, and as a language advances, I put my main focus in the advanced pillar, and then I leave these other pillars to the beginner intermediate languages. Which are the pillars that I have? Hi everyone, welcome. Today, let's talk about learning more languages at the same time, or learning more than one language at the same time. My name is Connie, I speak 6 languages, so that means I am learning more than one language at the same time, and I'm going to show you how. Hablo español, aprendí español por mi cuenta y ahora puedo hablar español. Aprendí español por mi cuenta, por ejemplo, hablar. No tenía nadie para hablar. Aprendí por mi cuenta y dígame cómo mi español es aquí abajo, por favor. Muchas gracias. Nag-aral ako ng Tagalog din ng mag-isa at ngayon, kaya kong magsalita ng Tagalog, kaya kong makinig sa mga kanta, sa mga video, sa mga movies. Maganda talagang mga movie Filipino. Yan po. Italiano, amo molto la lingua italiano. È una lingua molto 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 bello. Amo molto. Mi nivel en italiano no es avanzada como mi español. Je parle français, mais je parle français, mais je parle un peu de le français. Je m'appelle Connie, je ne peux parler français beaucoup, mais je peux parler le français. J'espère que tout m'entend. Yes, so those languages, I learn them consecutively. I learn them at the same time. But what does it mean to learn a language at the same time? For me, it means reaching a certain level in a language, and when you are going to the other language, you know you can manage at the beginner level of the other language as you are a bit advanced on this other language. Let me give you a real example of myself. I started by Filipino. Okay, that was 4 years ago. I started by Filipino 4 years ago. And after 2 years, after 1.5 years, I saw that my Filipino was a bit good, and I jumped into Spanish. I started learning Spanish and Filipino at the same time. But my Filipino was a bit advanced than my Spanish. After 1.5 years again, I went into Italian. But this meant that not just meaning, but this was my Filipino was advanced, really advanced. I was not even worrying about it. I was not learning a lot of things in Filipino. I was just maintaining it. By the way, I'm going to talk about maintaining a language towards the end of the video, so keep on watching if you want to see how to maintain a language. So when I started learning Italian, I want to say Italiano. When I started learning Italian, my Filipino was so advanced that I didn't care a lot about it. And then my Spanish was intermediate, and now my Italian was very beginner. After that, when my Italian got to the intermediate, I got into French. My French is very beginner, my Italian is intermediate. Okay, and as I continue, if I go to another language, I will make sure that my French, not Italian, because Italian is intermediate. I'll make sure that my French is a bit intermediate, and the new language will be very, very beginner. So that is how we do. That is how I do, and that is how many other polyglots do, where they make sure that if they take another language, they have this other language that they have been learning at another level. Like taking 2 languages at the same time at the beginner level can be very, very confusing. I once did that, by the way. While I was learning, after finishing Filipino, there was 3 languages for me to choose. There was Spanish, Italian, and French. And I was like, which language am I going to choose? I told myself, let me do them at the same time. And I took Spanish, Italian, and French at the same time together with Filipino. And I just had to drop them down and take Spanish alone and Filipino. Okay, because it was really hectic. Okay, a real life example again. Here you are doing Spanish grammar, you are doing Italian grammar, you are doing French grammar, and those languages are a bit similar, so it can confuse you. Again, if you want to learn like multiple languages at the same time, at the same level, you need to have a lot of time. Even if you're having someone, a tutor who is helping you, or if you are learning alone. If you are learning alone, you need to have extra time. If you're having someone, a tutor who is helping you, you need to have a lot of time. Okay, so both ways you need to have time, but if you are alone, you need to have both time and great discipline. Great discipline. But if you are having someone, you need to have a lot of time, and you need to have discipline as well, but not that much. Let's be honest. It's not that every polyglot that is out there. You know, when polyglots speak, when they talk about languages, they usually say, I've been there as well. They usually say, I've learned this language, I can speak this language. Like, they make the process look easy. They make the process look very, very easy. But it is not easy at all. It is not easy. It needs your discipline. It needs your hard work. It needs your dedication. It needs your passion. It needs your motivation. It's not easy. Let me tell you today, it's not easy. If you want to learn a language, make sure you are really passionate about that language. And I'm not talking about learning languages in a hard way. I'm not saying that they are hard to discourage you. I just want you to look forward, like to see what you are going to get ahead. So if you want to learn any language, make sure you really have passion on that language, or you are passionate about that language. You are motivated about language, like you really know what you want to get out of that language. Because if you don't know, I'm telling you, when you hit a language plateau, when you don't feel like you are moving anywhere, when you are not able to speak, you're going to hit a lot of small challenges during the way, and they are going to crush you if you really don't have that passion of learning that language, or that motivation, that drive. Okay, even discipline is not going to be enough. You really need to have something else. So I just needed to say that, because actually this week I had someone, I was watching two friends who have been friends for like 35 years. That's a lot of time. And they were talking about life struggles and how life is. And one of them was saying that a lot of people in YouTube or on YouTube usually say that doing things is easy, but they need to tell people the real truth. Like a lot of people on YouTube here usually say, have you started a YouTube channel? It's a good time for you to start a YouTube channel. They make it look easy to other people. But when you start, I'm telling you, doing a YouTube channel is not easy. That is what people need to say. People need to tell others the brutal truth. Okay? As far as you are seeing people's success, they have done the work. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy. Let's go back to language learning. I don't know why I don't know why I shifted to YouTube. Maybe I shifted to YouTube because of those two ladies that were talking about life being hard and people showing that it's easy. It's not, guys. And learning languages is the same. It's hard. It's not easy. But if you want to learn it, it's really rewarding. Okay, even if it's hard, at the end of 3 years, at the end of 4 years, at the end of 2 years, where you are able to speak that language, you are able to interact with someone. For example, when I interact with a Spaniard, someone who speaks Spanish, I really feel good. I really like last week I talked with someone for an hour in Spanish, and when I came back, I was telling my family, like, I've spoken Spanish for a whole hour. I was so happy. Like, the reward is really, really worth it. But just check, do you want to face these challenges that you are going to face in learning a language. If you really want that language, go face the challenges. Okay? And I was not going to talk about that, so let's get back to what I wanted to talk to, like how I learn languages, multiple languages at the same time. So since I am a polyglot, starting with language learning, I started with Filipino. It was not easy at all. It was not, like, I didn't know what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to start, things that I'm supposed to keep in mind, like how I'm supposed to study. I didn't know anything. But now learning another language is quite easy for me, though still learning a language is hard. But now I know the methods that I need to apply, the things that I need to do, and so forth. So that one makes my learning multiple languages a little bit easy. Okay, though it's not easy, but it makes the journey a little bit easy than when I was learning one language and I didn't know anything. And this gets me to the point, if you are starting, you're just starting to learn a language, don't take multiple languages until you really become fluent in the first language that you are learning. Because when you start learning a language, your brain doesn't have proof that you can learn a language and be fluent yet. Of course, you can be motivated. I'm going to be fluent, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can be motivated by that. But your brain doesn't know that yet. Like, it hasn't seen that reality manifest itself. Like, it hasn't seen that motivation in the reality. So you need to be able to speak that first language. After you are able to speak, you can now pick another language for you to study. Because your brain will be having this reality thing, like you will be knowing, oh, I've been able to speak this language, I can learn another new language. But you taking like 3 languages or 2 languages at the same time and you learning them, it's going to be quite a struggle, because even though you will be having a motivation, you're going to be crushed at some point. And some people, of course, are going to be able to do it. Congratulations to you. Continue keeping it up. But I'm just telling you from my past experience. Okay? Okay, so now after being able to speak all those languages, I came up with a formula of learning languages. I have these 5 pillars that I have in language learning. And as a language advances, I put my main focus in the advanced pillar, and then I leave these other pillars to the beginner intermediate languages. Which are the pillars that I have? The 5 pillars are grammar, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Grammar, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Those are the 5 pillars that I have. So whenever I start any language, I start with grammar. I do it for a while, then after that I go to reading. I read for a while, after that I go to writing. I write for a while, after that I go to listening. I listen as much as possible, and then I go to speaking. So grammar is the least of all, the one that I start with the beginner languages for me to at least have a foundation. And speaking is the one that goes to the advanced languages. For example, my Spanish, Italian, and Filipino, I speak a lot. So in Filipino, I no longer do speaking activities. In Spanish, I do a little bit of speaking activities, but Italian is really focused into speaking. My French, I've not started speaking yet. Okay, so that is how I juggle all those languages. So let me explain, or let me show you my typical day in learning these languages. So we are focusing on these 4, which is Filipino, Spanish, Italian, and French. Filipino being advanced, I don't learn anything at all. Maybe during the weekend I just watch something for 30 minutes, something for 20 minutes. But something that really helps me sustain these languages is sing. We are going to talk about that at the maintaining languages part. Let's keep it for later. So, as I said, in Filipino, I don't learn anything at all. I just listen to maybe a 30-minute video. I like watching Filipino pranks, especially by Ivana Alawi. I like her channel. If you are learning Filipino, go look for Ivana Alawi, watch her pranks, and you are going to laugh laugh and learn at the same time. So I watch a video, or I watch her videos, or I watch other channels that are talking about motivation, dialogues or interviews, yeah, because I'm advanced. So Filipino, I don't give a lot of much care, but I'm still maintaining it. And then when it comes to Spanish, the second one to Filipino, I also don't learn a lot, but maybe once in a while I do check a little bit of all the conjugations, like conjugations put together. Because now I know all the conjugations, I'm just reminding my brain all the conjugations put together. Once in a while, maybe once in a week, I check all the conjugations put together. Another thing, I don't learn, like I was doing language islands, like coaching myself to speak in Spanish a lot during the beginning of the year, but now I don't do them quite a lot. So I listen to videos. Okay, I can listen to motivational videos while I'm walking. I can listen maybe, let's say, to 2 hours in a week. And then when I come during the weekend, I can watch something in Spanish. I listen to their music. Yeah, so I don't do a lot. Coming to Italian, I do a lot of language islands. I record myself speaking. I do a lot of language islands. I do read as well in Italian. I read a lot in Italian. Okay, and then when it goes to, so I do a lot of language islands, I do read, I also do a little bit of grammar, okay, and I write in Italian as well, okay. And then when it comes to French now my main focus is in grammar, and I've also started reading. I started reading I think 6 months ago, and I'm still continuing to read. Although sometimes I don't understand anything, I continue to read. I'm focused on reading. And as I continue, I know I also write in French, but I'm not that good yet with words. I find a lot of new words, and writing really helps me in French. So that is what I do every day. So I can say my day takes a bit of, let's say 30% or 40% is languages. 30 to 40% is languages, a little bit of each language. Okay, now let's go to maintaining the language. There's a video I had a week ago of a polyglot, someone who speaks 9 languages. She's 24, by the way. She speaks 9 languages, and she was talking about how languages ruined her life. But at the end of the video, of course, she said that although it is really hard and expensive to maintain a language, she is grateful for the languages that she is able to speak and she knows, because those languages have brought her so far. You can watch that video on YouTube, how languages ruined my life. Just search that and you are going to get it. Okay, so that lady talked about a part of maintaining. So she started learning languages at a very young age. And then right now, since she's fluent in 9 languages, she has the task of maintaining those languages. And she said maintaining is harder than learning the languages. And as she was explaining, in maintaining the language, you need to keep in touch with that language, because if you don't, you forget. Okay? And let's say you have learned a language for 3 years. Like, you are not going to let that language go just like that. That's why I was telling you in the beginning of the video, if you want to learn a language, make sure you have passion, you have motivation, like you know why you want to learn that language, and make sure that you are going to be able to carry that language for the rest of your life. Okay? Because you're going to have that part of maintaining that language. For me, how do I maintain, let's say, Filipino and Spanish? For maintaining Filipino, I listen to a lot of songs. I journal in Filipino. On top of that, I have Filipino friends that I talk to. I also read in Filipino, though there are no many books in Filipino. Yeah, so I do those 4 things in Filipino. Like, I do them wanting, I just do them. Okay, just do them. It's not that I'm forced, like, I have to do this, I have to do this. No, I just do them. For example, when I go on YouTube and I see a prank that is in English and the other one is in Filipino, I'll go for the Filipino. Because, like, I just like it. Yeah, so I maintain Filipino like that. The same way with Spanish. I do the same thing in Spanish. I read a lot in Spanish, self-help books in Spanish for natives. I listen to interviews, I listen to their songs, I sing, I also journal in Spanish. And by the way, I'm doing those things out of me wanting to do them. I'm not forced. So that's why I told you in the beginning, if you want to learn a language, you need to be able to know that you're going to carry that language for the rest of your life. It is not worth it for you to learn a language for 3 years to be fluent, and then after 10 years you forget it. Like, you're putting a lot of effort to learn for 3 years and then you forget it in 10 years. No. That is not worth it. And actually, learning a language is quite expensive. If it's not on your time, it's on your money. Okay, because if you're learning on your own, you're going to have to put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, consistency. You're going to have a lot of things to put in. If you're learning with a tutor, you're going to put a lot of time as well. Even though you're going to have guidance, you're going to be fluent in, maybe if someone is learning on their own and they get fluent in 3 months, you might, not 3 months, 3 years, you might get fluent maybe in 2 years. So you'll be having, like, you will have saved time, a lot of effort, like you'll be knowing the method on how to do it and so forth. So language learning is quite expensive. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. I hope you have gotten something from this video. If you want to learn a new language, at least you know something that you didn't know before. If you liked this video, kindly subscribe down, share and like, comment down what you think about it and what are your perspective on learning a new language or maintaining a new language if you have multiple languages, or if you are learning multiple languages at the same time. It can be helpful for me as well, because we are always learning, and it can be helpful for other people who are reading your comment. If you are a Spanish speaker, you can comment in Spanish, or if you are a French, if you are whatever language, comment it in your language for us to learn as well, other people who are learning your language. And if you would like to support me financially, there's a link down below for buy me a coffee. I'll appreciate so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!